Pastor Kathy asked me to do this little speaking engagement, I asked her what I should talk about. And she said, well, just tell about how God has blessed you. Okay, I said, I think I can do that. So before I begin, I want to warn you, I'm 84 years old, and I have a lot of blessings. And in order to keep it brief, I didn't make any notes about them. So you're going to get just what comes off the top of my head, but I hope you have nothing planned for the afternoon. Because when a pastor asks me to do something, I want to do it right. I guess my first blessing was the day I was born, March 7th, 1932, in a terrible blizzard. And I've had a lot of blizzards in my life, too. So, but I don't think you want to hear about those. So, I was the 9th child of 14. And I'd like to say every one of them was a blessing, but can't do that. But there are a lot of blessings of being born in a big family. We had 7 lots of garden, and my mother and my sisters canned and preserved everything we raised that the boys planted and raised and harvested. And my first even introduction to helping other people came when winter came and my mother started to give our neighbors the fruits of our garden. 1932, Depression. Oh, that's right. There's not too many who know about that. Oh, okay. Another thing. I started to teach Sunday school when I was in 8th grade. And I was blessed to have a congregation that supported me in many ways. Much the same that Bethany has supported me in many ways. When I was confirmed, the pastor and a couple of ladies of the church, well, it was 3 of them actually, and the confirmation class had dubbed the 3 ladies Faith, Hope, and Charity. Typical junior high kind of thing to do. But they took us to a trip to Augustana College, which I said, oh dear God, I wish that someday I could go here. I really was impressed. Well, life went on, and I kept active in my church, but there was no way that I could see college coming. And then Harry Truman, some of you may remember him from your history books. Harry Truman sent me a letter and opened the gates for me to go to college, because I went off to be in the Army and got the GI Bill. And, at Augustana, I was again blessed. I not only got a degree and a teaching certificate, which is my life dream, to work with young people, which I did for 50 years. And in this church, I taught Sunday school and confirmation. When I first came to town, I was a single man. I sang in the choir and all kinds of things. But the thing that gives me the most reward and has blessed my life was the opportunity that was given me to chair the committee that built this sanctuary. Just marvel at what people can do when they put their minds to it. I also met a lovely lady at Augustana who became my wife, and had 2 of our 3 children went there, for which that alone is a blessing for us. along about the time we built the sanctuary, I went for my annual physical, and scheduled for 8 o'clock in the morning at Sherman Hospital, and about 9:30 I was through with all the tests that they did, and I'm getting dressed, and the nurse said, "Where do you think you're going?" I said, "Home." And she said, "No, I don't think so. You had this test that you're going to have the cardiologist read before you can leave." And this was like 9 o'clock in the morning. By noon, I was on the operating table with a quadruple bypass, which they told me before that in the medical profession, that's called the widowmaker. My wife really liked that one. As things progressed, ready to go, I said to my family and to Pastor Hoekstra, who came right away, "I'll see you all in a little while." Now, I have no idea where that came. Well, I do now, but I don't. Who am I? So, a few hours later, I was back, and the next morning at 5 o'clock, Dr. Salzman, who was my family doctor, was there, and he said, you realize that the only reason that you're still alive is that God is not through with you yet. And I made a commitment at that time, and I'd like to invite all you to make this commitment too, but it's a lot. I said that from that time on, that I would never say no to anything that this church asked me to do. And I've been a very busy man. Because pastors are really, whoops. Turn your hearing aid off. Pastors are adept at finding people who can't say no to ask them to do things. So when you see the pastor coming, don't turn around and run. Stand and say yes. You will be amazed at the difference that it will make in your lives. And that's really the basis of my talk. I would like you to make a commitment between you and your God, our God, to do everything you can to promote the work that we do to the best of your abilities. Thank you.